Welcome to the Leader Talks podcast. I'm Reverend Dr. Shannon Karafanda. I am an ordained clergy person in the United Methodist Church.
Hi, I'm Elaine Beattie, speaker, trainer, executive coach.
We've put together this podcast by women for women about things we wish we had known when we were younger.
And we do hope that you will look for our podcast on your favorite platform.
Be sure to subscribe, to like, and to share. We want to thank you for joining us today.
So Shannon, you ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Hi, everyone. Elaine Beattie here, speaker, trainer, and executive coach. And I'm here along with my colleague, the Reverend Dr. Shannon Karafanda. We are excited. We are excited today to welcome you back to
Leader Talks podcast. We are sharing the information that we wish we knew when we were younger. And I'm really excited about the topic you're going to present today because it's about speaking your truth. I just want to do a little lead in here. Every year, God gives me a word to kind of guide my year. This year, my word was speak. And I thought, well, I'm a pastor. Of course, I'm going to speak. I do podcasts. Of course, I'm going to speak. And I have wondered at times, is this time to speak truth or is it time to hold my tongue? And I think you're going to help share some things about, how to speak your truth, when to speak your truth today that will be very helpful.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. So just to tag onto what you just shared, my one word for this year has been abundance. And so I do think that when we speak our truth, that we walk our way into abundance. That's one of the ways we walk our way into abundance. So I love this topic, and it was something that I struggled with for years. And you think like, how do you get to the point where, you're not really saying what you need to be saying? I happened to be at a conference a couple of months ago. And it was really amazing. It was a higher ed conference. And so I was with all these brilliant women, right, who, were in higher ed. Everybody had PhDs and 3 masters. And I mean, it was just crazy, right? But we had this one exercise, and the exercise was, take your life and divide it up into 10 years, And for us to write down what significant, if you would, it's happened during those years. It was profound for me, sitting there, I'm like, okay, fine. It was profound for me because then I think she asked something like, have you embraced all of who you are? And that was the point of the exercise. And when I did it, I realized that there were parts of me from my younger years that I just literally did not acknowledge or had forgotten. Point being, when we think about speaking our truth, oftentimes in our younger years, people say things to us and we take it in, right?
Right.
And we accept it as truth. But then we have to go back and do some self-discovery, self-reflection, and think about what actually happened. So, for instance, for me, when I was younger, people used to always say, Elaine, you are so helpful. Oh, you are so, you are such a servant. Because I'd always be walking around when my mom had friends, and I'd be cleaning up, or can I bring you some tea or something like that. So guess what my gift is? Hospitality.
Right.
Right. I ended up in the hospitality business for 21 years. No wonder I had such a great time doing it. But the point being is that for some reason, I forgot, that is what people used to say to me. Now, here you are. Here I am as an adult, and you get into positions and people start saying, if you would, giving you words that are not encouraging. And going back to what we just talked about in one of our former sessions about, it kind of helps create that imposter syndrome, right? So now they're saying to you, well, you're not this and you're not that and you're not this and you're not that. And you kind of forget it, it drowns out the reality of who you are. I say all that to say, it is so important to first be self-reflective. Now, I know you and I both love assessments. We've talked about this, a couple of different times. And we both love the DISC assessment. And the one thing about assessments is that, and it doesn't really matter which one you like, it gives you a foundation. Don't you agree? a
Right.
foundation to start from, right?
Yeah. It doesn't tell you exactly who you are. It tells you where you lean and what tendencies you have. And I think if you use it to say, well, I'm only this one, then you're limiting yourself. I think we have all parts of each personality test within us. It's just the one that we sort of favor at times.
Exactly. So we start with assessments. I think we also have to start with the reality of who we are. And again, this is the reflective part, right? The other day, again, an exercise, I pulled out my resume and I don't know about you, but remember when we had to go through like the ordination process, Shannon is ordained. I actually went through the process, but didn't stop through the process. But remember how we had to give them all of everything that we did, right?
Everything we've ever done in our entire lives.
In our entire lives. Well, I pulled that document out and oh my goodness, I had forgotten all the things I had done.
Yeah.
But it is a great exercise for you who might be struggling with speaking your truth. I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going somewhere with this because it's important for us to really know who we are.
Yeah.
And when we can see that in black and white, I was listening to a speaker again about a week ago. I was at a conference and she calls it there's a difference between rhetoric and receipts. And Shannon, those are receipts. When we can look at our resume and we can look at the time that we spent in college, in university, the degrees that we have, the certifications that we have, the jobs that we have, the achievements that we made, those are receipts. Those that is reality. So
Right.
I say all that to say that it is so important for us to know first who we are. And secondly, to have the courage to speak up, right? And
Right.
able to say who we are. So when I was in the hotel business and just starting out, and, I had men, because that's primarily the business that I was in.
Side note, you can tell by how the bathrooms are designed in hotels which ones are designed by men. There's no counter space. Oh,
So funny. I love that. So in my younger years, I'm coming up in the ranks and I remember saying, well, what about this? And what about that? And I would actually be telling them my situation. And they literally would say to me, Elaine, that's really not important. Or Elaine, we're not going to worry about that now. And over the years, I realized it was like somebody putting out my light,
yeah.
right? We were just putting out my fire. And so we must be careful around who we must be careful with the people that we surround ourselves with,
Yeah. And be mindful of the people around us that we're not silencing their voice either.
that we're not silencing their voice either. So again, we might have some differences. I talk about this all the time. I teach cultural, humility. We were talking about, I was actually teaching on emotional intelligence yesterday, and we have differences, and that's okay. But what our job is, I think, is to listen fully,
Mhm.
closely to people and then hear what they're saying. Now, in terms of us being able to speak our truth, they can have a difference. They
Right.
may not agree, but if we don't speak our truth, who will?
Do you find it helpful? I have been an on and off journaler for years. I will have times where I'm like writing every day and times when it'll go months and I haven't written anything. But I've picked up my pen again and I have found that when I'm able to journal my thoughts, I process them before I speak them out loud. And I think that's helpful. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. It's part of the reflective process. And I am just, I mean, I just can't say enough about being able to spend time in reflection and thinking about things, about who we are, who we want to be. You and I, as, women of faith, God made us in a particular way.
Hmm.
He formed us for a particular reason.
Yeah.
I believe that. And so I believe when we speak our truth, it is imperative to do so that we can stay aligned with the purpose that God created us for.
Yeah, yeah. I wish someone had told me the thoughts in your head that you want to speak out loud are valid, but that doesn't mean you have to speak them out loud all the time at every time. Like there is a balance in speaking your truth, right? Like sometimes you need to speak up. It is helpful for other people that you speak up, and then sometimes you need to process it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I also believe that being by ourselves can be dangerous. And
Hmm.
so we need to make sure that we have other people speaking into us and saying, hey, I don't know that that's absolutely true. I don't know if you've ever done this. When I am working with clients and I'm trying to get them to understand their management style, their leadership style, I often ask them to send out emails to people that they've worked with or friends and ask them to describe them in 3 words.
Ooh, in 3 words. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, in 3 words. So again, we need to collect the evidence. We need to collect the evidence.
So I've done something similar. And using what they give back, looking to see, are they using warm words or competent words? So are they using words that are more, she's very loyal and compassionate, or she's brilliant and has wisdom? Because a good combination of that shows a lot of balance in your life. And if you're kind of leaning more one way or the other, that's just saying something about who you are and what you're projecting into the world. I think that's very important.
I do. I agree. I agree. And in addition to that, I'm hoping that they will see overlap, that they will see that people see the same things. So going back to what I said, we are able to speak our truth when we have a true picture of who we are. And I think our experiences, the noise from other people throw us off. So we need to have in writing, going back to you journaling,
Hmm. Hmm.
in writing who we are, what we've done, the Bible, who God says we are,
Right.
all of that to help us to be able to articulate our truth, be able to articulate.
Yeah. Well, Elaine, what's one last thing you want to tell people who are wrestling with this?
There's only one you in the world, and nobody can be that you but you. There's only one Shannon, there's only one me. And we were created for a specific reason, for a specific purpose, and nobody can do it better.
And the world needs to hear your voice.
And the world needs to hear you exactly in the way you put it out and the way you do it. Exactly. Because we can be part of somebody's healing. We can be part of somebody's deliverance. We can be part of somebody's success. We can be that person, that voice
Amen.
that they need in order to go forward.
Well, thank you so much, Elaine. This is, as always, a delight. And we look forward to future episodes. Make sure that you are subscribing, liking, and sharing with your friends.
Thank you for joining us. Good to see you again, Shannon, and see you all next time.